Hey everybody, my name's Mike Montgomery, and today we're turning this space in the master bedroom into this awesome master closet. Let's get started on modern builds. So we're starting on day 2. Yesterday, I brought in all of my packages for this closet system. And man, this is gonna be a lot of assembly. But we do have one serious problem. From floor to ceiling, our opening is basically 96 inches. And as you can see on this IKEA listing, the sliding doors have a listed height of 94.5 inches. Now, IKEA instructions are notorious for not having words and just being a bunch of diagrams. And I'll admit, I'm not great at math, so I'm gonna put this rail in place with the speed square as my spacer, so I can just measure the gap from the ceiling without any guesswork. That's 2 3/8 inch on the dot. I do think it'll look a little bit better if I bring the top guide down rather than bringing the rail that attaches to the floor up. One good thing is I've got wood behind the drywall where I need to attach my additional framing. I installed a strong back along this opening in the attic when I took out the old closet. And if you're interested in checking out any of this demolition or repair, make sure and watch episode 2 of Mike's First Flip, linked below. And if my framing didn't line up on this new joist and instead was in between, I would just add some 2x8 blocking so I had something to attach to. And with all that taken care of, it was time to rip some 2x4s down to 2 3/8 inch wide. You can see I did this in 2 passes, that way I didn't cut too much material at one time. I lined this up using my laser level, and this stud is recessed about a 1/2 inch back from the wall. And there'll be a really smooth transition with our new drywall. I just put this piece in place so that I could mark where I needed to cut it with my circular saw, and then I screwed it into the joist behind the drywall. You'll see that this laser level comes in handy throughout this project. I'll leave a link to it and all the other tools, materials, and supplies down below. I doubled up this 2x4 to make our header the correct width, and I screwed this to the original board. And I made sure to offset our seams, that way this would be as strong as possible. I was also able to get some screws up through this board into the ceiling joist. Oh, that's locked in now. Woo! I only need to install drywall on the front face of this header. It's the only thing that's ever gonna show. The bottom is flush with the bottom of our header, and you'll notice a tiny gap between the top and the ceiling, and that's so there's enough room for drywall mud to get in there before the tape. And now I can add drywall mud and tape to the corners. Before I apply tape to the corner, I'll add some drywall joint compound, that way there's something for it to stick to. I did a pretty light, clean coat, but I would have applied a little bit more if I was doing this the second time around. That would make sure that whenever I squeegeed this tape with my drywall knife, it would be sure to have contact with joint compound everywhere. And I cut some short pieces of tape to apply to my vertical seams. After my tape was really bedded in there, I did a thin coat over everything before I let it dry. Progress is great. I'm gonna let that dry overnight, and then tomorrow I'll give it a really quick sand before applying a spray orange peel texture to match the rest of the walls and ceilings. Everything should completely blend once the paint is dry. And I'll make sure and put this on fine. These cans are quick and easy to use. Just make sure you really shake them up before you spray. I also lightly sanded this to blend everything out. And now I can paint this little header that we've created. It'll probably take a couple of coats, and I hope when the paint dries, no one will even be able to tell where we did this retrofit or repair. If I did this project again, I probably would have cut in with my paintbrush and then used my roller, but not a big deal. I'm really happy with how that blend came out. So now let's focus on the flooring. So the main task that I'm doing here is laying out a line a 1/4 inch back from the wall where I want to put this riser piece. It's a thin strip, a little thinner than the actual track for the floor. This way the track overlaps a 1/4 inch on each side. I'll use my brad nailer to attach this flooring piece down to our subfloor, but it'll get screwed down later with our track. The reason I'm doing this is I don't want to screw directly down into my floating floors that are seamless throughout the house. I'll use my flooring tool and a rubber mallet to push all of my boards against this strip. That way the track can sandwich the ends of each side of the flooring and no one will ever see a seam. These are pretty much all the leftover flooring pieces I have from installation on the rest of the house, but I can use these to start each row. That way I'm not just placing full-length planks across the whole closet floor. Honestly though, it's easier to link the two pieces together before you attach the edge of one row to the next. As I went, I used the tapping block to make sure the edge joints were locked in. And cutting or scoring and snapping is the reason I think LVP is so popular now. Just score your plank once, and then break it where you want it to snap. And look how clean it is too. Once you get going, LVP installs quick, and I'll make sure and leave a link to the ones I used below. And I definitely want a full piece where this old closet dividing wall used to be. Also linked in the description, I'll leave a couple videos that I made of LVP installation if you're interested in the process. I filmed those throughout the rest of the house. I didn't want to go too in-depth here, but I did want to show you the process. All right, flooring is done, and you can see how the track is going to be able to cover the ends of our plank on both the bedroom and closet boards. IKEA is super modular, so these tracks are usable for a closet system up to 12 feet wide. I measured and marked both of them at the same time before my cut. I'll use a thin metal cutoff wheel on my angle grinder to get through this track and get a clean finish. From my understanding, all of the metal pieces that might need cut, like this track or the rail, are made from aluminum, which is a soft metal that can be cut with any woodworking tool like a circular saw, a jigsaw, or a chop saw too. An angle grinder is just a really accessible way to cut basically any metal. Once I knew the pieces were the right length, I spliced them together using these pegs that go into these little slots. And I had to knock it into place with a mallet on the other end. I didn't know until I opened up all the boxes, but it came with adhesive strips for the bottom of the track. I was fully expecting to screw this down, but I still figured I would use this to help line everything up and keep it in place while I drilled and screwed it. And I'm pressing down here pretty hard. That's really stuck on there. These pieces of wood are what the top rail slide over. I'll cut these to length with my circular saw and speed square before screwing it directly into our header. I guess that's one benefit of needing to do this solid wood header is I really know I've got plenty of meat to screw onto anywhere I need. It's not like using a stud finder behind drywall and kind of guessing. These metal tracks go on the top. They basically slide over that wood piece that we just screwed in. I decided to cut it the same way as I cut the bottom tracks for the floors, and I made sure to sand all of these cuts smooth. These were a pretty snug fit. Make sure they're lined up where they need to be because you can't really slide them back and forth before you screw them in. The directions say that after one rail is attached, to slide in all of the brackets for the sliding doors. It makes sense because I've got access to the end of the rail now, but that's about to close off when I install the second piece. And I used these pegs to splice the track together like I did on the floor. And that flooring tool came in clutch to get these pieces together. Assembling these doors was one of the first things I did. It all fit together and self-aligned into this perimeter frame that I used an Allen key to tighten down. Then, on the bottom of the frame, I screwed down a caster to each corner, and on the top, these two pieces that are the guides that go with the top rail. All I do is line up our guide with the pieces we put into the rail earlier and pivot into place. At first, it was a tough squeeze getting these over the rail, but I ended up raising the caster wheel about 1/8 of an inch, and that took away the problem for the future. In this close-up, you can see how the door slides up into that track hardware. They're spring-loaded, which should stop the doors from hitting the wall or each other too aggressively. And this should soft close? Yep. And then these two doors should soft close too. Awesome. And now it's time to do a lot of unboxing. I'm gonna get the panels for these doors opened up. These wood panels with the white back you see, I bought separately because online, I wasn't sure if I was gonna like the gray finish panels that you can see me opening now. It's a tough decision we're gonna have to make. But first, I'd like to give a big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring today's episode. And today, I wanna focus on design intelligence by Squarespace. They believe that AI is here to help enhance human creativity, not replace it. And Squarespace's current AI features are crazy and more are coming soon. I'm talking AI-generated design templates, product listing and descriptions, even AI-generated blog posts with your prompts and editing. Squarespace Payments is the easiest place to manage all of your payments in one place. Onboarding customers is fast and easy so you can get paid quick. And customers can pay with popular payment methods including Klarna, ACH Direct Debit, Apple Pay, and in eligible countries ClearPay and Afterpay. And the last feature I want to talk about are Squarespace online courses. Squarespace has the tools to build your course from scratch and turn your knowledge into income. And you can set your course to a one-time fee or a recurring subscription charge. So to learn more, follow my link down in the description. That's squarespace.com/modernbuilds. And when it's time to make your new site live, don't forget to use my code MODERNBUILDS for 10% off your first site, store, or domain through Squarespace. As always, huge thanks to Squarespace. Now let's finish this install. And good news, I've officially come up with a plan. So I really like this wood finish. I bought it because I originally thought I wouldn't like the gray paired with the gray wash floors. But now that I'm looking at it in person, I really like this gray finish, especially with that glossy look. And on the flip side, the reversible white back of the wood door just looks cheaper than this finish does. So what I'm thinking of doing is using the wood panels and pairing it with this gray. I'm gonna be utilizing the best of both worlds. I'm thinking about doing a wood bottom where it meets the gray floor, and then one of these dividers. These also lock the panel in place. Part of me wants to do one more wood and then a gray panel, but I think I'll just try alternating and see how that looks. Yeah, I really think I like that. Well, now should I do wood, gray, wood? Starting to think that would look cooler. So we've got this, which looks nice. It's modern, it's clean. But what if it was two grays? Oh, no, I think that's the look. But while I'm here, I am gonna just make sure I don't like the look of this white panel. I honestly don't think that's it. Y'all know I default to white all the time, but I've already got quite a bit of flat white in the room, and I like the way that the gray panel really shows off those white dividers in the metal frame. And you know I've got to go with that natural wood tone on the top layer to help warm everything up. That's so clean. I'm gonna go ahead and film a montage of putting the other 3 door panels in, and we'll check everything out. And I'm gonna give kudos to IKEA. I know they make some affordable things out of particle board, but they also make some really high quality, high design stuff, like this closet setup. And something really cool is you can swap out these panels anytime you want if styles or preference change. And literally, our last step is just to cut the trim piece for up top. Just like with the other metal pieces, I'll use a cutting disc on my angle grinder, and I'll make sure to sand that cut clean around my edges before installing it in place. We've come a long way. There was a lot more steps than I thought. It's looking really nice though. And we are done. So let's check out the before and after. My big plan is to take out all of this space along with the top of this wall and incorporate it into a giant master closet. And now let's check out these afters. I am very happy I ended up getting those extra wood panels, and I really love the combination of the glossy gray with the natural wood tones, especially with those gray wash floors. Looking back, I wish I just did a 94.5-inch tall opening like the title of the product says, because I am maxing out the adjustability of this system. And since I went with these modern gray wash floors, it's important for me to add some natural wood tone in each room. This does that, and it's also a clean, modern finish that someone with a slightly more traditional style is still really gonna like. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you're not already, make sure and click that subscribe button and notification down below. I really appreciate y'all watching, and I can't wait to share the full master bedroom renovation. The income property renovation is coming to a close, but we'll see you next time on Mike's First Flip. It's Mike's First Flip. See you next time, guys.